welcome to our Watershed Council meeting. High school was a day or two ago, but I didn't ever like the classroom stuff. So we can get out on the tour sooner. That's better for all of us. So we'll get to the tour here after we get through some classroom material first. Okay, is that all right with you? Okay. And I know we're a watershed council, but it's been pretty dry around our place. I don't know about yours. We've got a few meadows over there in Beaver. And right now, we don't worry if there's enough water for a water turn. It's just enough for the cows to drink, so they don't have to haul water to the cows. So hopefully that'll change here at some point. Somebody told me we're one day closer to a rainstorm every day. It'll come at some point. Okay, do we want to do introductions? Do we know everybody? I don't know if I know everybody. So I guess we're going to do introductions again, Jake. Is that all right with you? You're the boss. I'm Brandon Yardley. We'll start over here and make sure we get everybody covered.
Hartley, Watershed Council Coordinator. Who's like the official on resources?
Division of Wildlife.
Jennifer Marshall, Beaver County. Tammy Pearson, Beaver County.
Stubbs, Iron County Farm Bureau.
Mark Nelson, USU Extension.
Recently retired.
No,
Semi. Okay, I can't say that anymore. Yeah. Sorry.
Jason Bradshaw with NRCS.
Jake Benson, Department of Ag.
Alma Adams has been. Still here, has been.
Most experienced, we'll go with that.
Old bugger.
And Stephanie's handing out the water. Okay, we've got our minutes from last meeting. Did you guys get a chance to look over those? I briefed them over and they looked okay to me. So unless anybody has any questions on the minutes, we got a motion. Do I have a second? Second, all in favor?
Brendan, would you identify for the record who made the motion and seconded?
Yeah, the motion was made by Tammy Pearson, second by Scott Stubbs.
Thank you.
And I gotta jump back to the other paper. Okay, other council business, and Carly, correct me if I'm wrong. I jumped on the state meeting last time, and they did say if we submit a travel request, we can get paid for mileage. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
The only stipulation is you cannot be paid by a government entity to be here. But anyone else can get a mileage reimbursement. So
any private individual, if you're driving, submit that. Other business, our next meeting, we talked about maybe having a combined meeting with the Severe Watershed Council, just to get ideas from them and see what they're doing. I don't know what you guys think of that, if it's a good idea, a bad idea. We can maybe do that for November, probably November would be the next meeting. So unless there's objections, maybe we'll work for that if we can make it.
As long as they come here.
As long as they can.
Second.
We'll offer you one.
In Great Stop Beaver, kind of a central location for everybody.
Beaver, yeah, central location. I like that.
Governor Stubbs, is that you just settle down, that's sort of you're used to driving, you'll be okay. And then I guess our meeting after that will be our organization meeting. I think we have a couple of people that are, the terms are up already, so we'll look into that, see who's up. Hopefully me, and we'll work on that for our January meeting. Any other business that you guys have? Okay, we're gonna turn it over to Becca to talk about the water plan survey results. I was on a meeting with them last week. It seems like everybody in the Watershed Council has the same concerns, but we'll let Becca go over that. And if you have any questions, jump in.
All right, thanks, Brandon. Can y'all hear me okay?
yes,
Seems like, okay, great. I do have some slides, so I'm gonna share that. You're gonna get some whiplash a little bit. Okay. Oh, I should have practiced how to turn this into a slideshow. There we go. All right, hopefully you guys are seeing those okay.
Yep.
All right, perfect. So yeah, I'm here to talk to you all about the survey that many of you completed. So we have, we met with Brandon and Amy and Carly and Stephanie and myself, and we synthesized the results of those surveys. So I'm here to talk to you about that. But really briefly, I want to talk about how another way that we're representing your watershed in the state water plan. So we have obviously this survey that will go into the state water plan. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But we also have a public scoping meeting that we'll be doing in your basin. We're doing a public scoping meeting across all of the basins in Utah. And so we just want to make sure that we are nailing down a date for that so that we can get the show on the road. So really quickly for those public scoping meetings, just a reminder of what those are. We're hoping for a 60 to 90-minute meeting to share info about the state water plan to the basin's residents. So that will include a 30-minute presentation on the state water plan by Stephanie McGinnis, who you guys have all heard from before. And then we're going to do breakout listening sessions on our 3 main topics that will be represented in the plan. So those are productive agriculture, vibrant communities, and healthy watersheds and ecosystems. So the goal of this public scoping meeting is to better understand and represent your basin's challenges, needs, and successes as they relate to agriculture, communities, and healthy watersheds. And so then I have the when and where. That's a big question mark that we would hope to fill today or in the next couple of weeks. So we've proposed to hold that on Wednesday, October 1st, somewhere in your basin. Are there any strong feelings for or against that?
Would that be an evening meeting or a daytime meeting?
We've been planning on evening meetings, so after work, probably around 6 p.m. That would go for as much as an hour and a half.
And you're only planning 1 per watershed basin.
That's right. There is an opportunity potentially to have a virtual component of this as well. So we could have folks meet on Google Meet if they aren't able to make the trip out.
October 1st, any strong objections?
So we have our Utah PLC meeting at night on
At 7.
7.
7. So
So maybe not that date.
Do you have other date options, Becca?
Not off the top of my head. If other people have a date option, I can write those down and circle back with Steph on that.
Well, a public scoping meeting, you're gonna open that up for the public though, so it's not something that's like a board,
just for us.
right? It's for everybody. So we could be there at 6 and still do our meeting.
Can we do 6 o'clock?
We could even do 5:30 if that would be helpful.
Do a Zoom call
Okay.
at 7. We're not meeting in person that night.
I think if we did 6 o'clock.
Okay.
With a 30-minute presentation and then I give 30 minutes before the next meeting. That work? Let's try for that.
Okay. Yeah, if you could let us know where your other meeting is going to be held, we could see if we could hold it at the same location or somewhere nearby.
It's virtual, so it'll be.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if anyone has ideas on where we could hold this, we're hoping to be able to host, we're not sure how many people we could bring or we could get to come out, but if we could get a meeting space that could hold around 100 people, that would be ideal.
Beaver County Fairgrounds.
It's in all over the place. Oh.
Beaver County Fairgrounds is one option.
Okay.
Other than that, where else we go, Jake? We'd have to go back to Heritage Center. Heritage Center is good. Fairgrounds here.
Okay.
Fairgrounds in Parowan. What's the vote? I guess we want to go where we'll get the most response from the public, so
I'd probably be the Cedar here in the center then.
I still like the fairgrounds in Minersville, but. I don't know.
Same.
I don't know.
Okay, so sounds like the Cedar Heritage Center, we could look and see if they're available October 1st.
Okay,
And then if they're not, then we can figure something else out, but that sounds like a good way to move forward.
Okay.
And sorry if it feels like I'm rushing. I was told I have 10 minutes, so I don't want to have this take a whole lot of time. But feel free to reach out to us if you have other ideas. So that's for the public scoping meeting. Getting to the Watershed Council survey results, just to give an overview of why you took the survey, how it's going to be used, and why we're going over this synthesis today. We're hoping to use this council survey to inform the state water plan. We specifically have a chapter in the state water plan that includes basin perspectives. And then that state water plan will go to the audience, which we are targeting the Utah state legislators, local water planners and providers might be using it, and then also the public. It's also meant to have great information for anyone who's interested about water in the state. And so for your survey results, these will inform, again, that section in Chapter 8. So that will be a section that includes 2 to 3 pages. What that will entail is we'll have a basin overview, so a map of the basin, some of the main waterways, some information on water supply and how that's used. And then we want to go over the basin challenges, needs, and successes for agriculture, communities, and healthy watersheds and ecosystems. So that's how that section will be formatted. And that's why the survey was formatted the way that it was. And so I'm going to go through the highlights that we picked out. I want to say that if there's anything that is inaccurate, that is on Steph and I, Brandon and Amy and others did their best to let us know what was going on in your basin. And so if there's anything that's not represented well, that's on me and Steph. So for the high level review, I'm going to go through agriculture, then I'll go through the communities section, and then also the healthy watersheds and ecosystems section. And it'll be over this at the same format. So for challenges, needs, and successes. And so if you see anything that's maybe not quite accurate or something that we're missing, feel free to call it out. I'm just going to go through these fairly quickly, but hopefully having these on the screen, y'all will be able to think about these a little bit more. So for challenges for agriculture, we identified water scarcity, concern for water rights curtailment. That was both at the state level and then thinking about interstate issues with the Colorado River negotiations, stress from developers, and then groundwater depletion. For needs, we identified increased funding for ag optimization projects, research into less water intensive crops, understanding impacts of ag optimization on groundwater recharge, and then there was some information brought up that there's a Utah State study underway investigating that issue in your basin. And then some of the successes, or I guess the big success that was called out here, was that there are many successful ag optimization projects in your basin. And it might be useful to highlight a couple specific ones, but that is the main success. Any feedback on what we have here?
Oh, let's get a watershed.
Okay, I can move on to the next one, and if we have feedback at the end, I can go back. So for communities, the high level challenges, needs, and successes that we identified. So for challenges, growth and increased need for water for that growth, cost of infrastructure upgrades and repairs, state laws focused on Wasatch Front that can harm southern communities, and then groundwater management plans can be both, I guess, helpful, but also challenging. Needs that were identified. increased collaboration between public water suppliers and community partners, water reuse projects, education on water-wise landscaping, and then adopting ordinances to qualify for state funding for water conservation. For successes, the Cedar City groundwater recharge projects were highlighted as big successes in the area. Any feedback on any of this?
You heard from me enough last week, like this.
Another success is Parowan is just in the process of doing a major groundwater recharge project. When we get high water again, we're gonna get much more water into a gravel pit, so we send it to Little Salt Lake to evaporate. So that is happening right now.
Awesome. So that's in parallel.
Everything but the water is happening.
And that was a ag water optimization project, or they helped with part of it, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of crossover. I mean, obviously there's crossover. Water isn't siloed into just one thing or the other. So that's a good thing to highlight. All right, for healthy watersheds and ecosystems, the challenges that we identified were water quality impairments, pinyon juniper encroachment, wildfire, and decreasing groundwater recharge. For needs, we identified a need for increased collaboration among local, state, and federal partners, and sharing ideas and success stories across watershed councils and other entities. For successes, the watershed restoration initiative projects in the area have been highlighted as successes. I probably would need more information on those, but sounds like they're a great thing in the basin.
They're statewide. WRI projects are statewide.
Yeah, so any feedback on any of these? Okay. So if there's any feedback that you would like to give us, or if there's anything that we missed, feel free to give us a shout. You can email us at statewaterplan@utah.gov. That'll go to Steph and myself. And thanks for your time and attention.
Okay, thank you. All right. And a lot of those were crossovers from a lot of the other basins. They have the same concerns and trying to keep some ag water in the state of Utah. So I think the state water plan, hopefully it'll be a good thing with the legislature. We hope they'll use the plan once we give it to them. That's my concern. And sometimes they have a document to look at, and you get a wild card that does what they want anyway. So, but Tammy will work on the shape up there, so we'll be in good shape.
I try.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll turn some time over to Jason Bradshaw, and he's going to talk about the Parowan Valley Recharge Project and give us an update on this.
Thanks, Brandon. Said I'm Jason Bradshaw. I'm the resource conservationist for the Natural Resource Conservation Service for Iron Beaver in Washington County. On June 17th, 2017, there was a small backyard fire that immediately became 77,000 acres of fire over the next few months. We know what follows fire is floods. And with that flood water, Parowan Valley experienced several damages down all the canyons: Parowan Canyon, Little Creek, Red Creek, Fremont, Summit. And about the same time, a short couple months later, or maybe a year later, Division of Water Rights came to us and told us they were going to instigate a groundwater management plan for the Parowan Valley. There was 53,000 acre feet appropriated, and they feel our safe yield is somewhere around the 32,000. We got to cut at 22. So actually, when they did the analysis, turns out the farmers were only using about 33. And so from the 53,000 that's appropriated, we're using 33. And now we are under about a 12,000 acre foot potential cut through the groundwater management plan over the next 80 years, plus or minus. So we went through a series of public meetings with that, and we determined that we needed to organize ourselves at the local level. So a group of us got together and developed what's known as the Parowan Valley Pumpers Association. It's a volunteer agency that you can just become a member, not agency, association. Let me get that right. It's a volunteer agency. I'm going to say that wrong every time. I work for the government. It's a volunteer association that you can just become a member of. There are a few criteria to be a part of that, but it's very easy to join us. And we came up with a threefold mission that we wanted that association to do. We wanted.
You have a board?
We do have a board. Yep, we have a seven member board.
Okay.
Yep, it's on a rotational of terms. Every other year, 3 of us 1 year, 4 of us the next. And we come up with a goal that we wanted to do 3 things. We wanted to help farmers maximize their efficiency of water application, whatever means and methods they wanted to. We wanted to capture all of the flood water or the high water that comes down those canyons now. And then 2, we wanted to maximize the amount of runoff. So we wanted to improve watershed health at the higher elevations. So after some investigation into the water rights, each of the canyons has a company that owns water right. And it's obvious that during those flood events, it exceeds that water right. And so our association filed on all of the high water right down each of those canyons. And so now we're under a proof deadline to show that we are going to use that water for recharge. And that is strictly what our water was designated for, was recharge. It has no consumptive use, point, or place at all. We cannot convert it into an irrigation system. We cannot use it for culinary, domestic, industrial, commercial. It's strictly for recharge. So that brought to us a fine scope of work on what we needed to do. We needed to start to find ways to sink water and stop it from entering that little Salt Lake area where it just evaporates. So we began a little bit of group thought, a little bit of committee thoughts on what we needed to do. Parowan City joined us. They have a younger water right that's at risk to be lost in the first cut. So they became all hands on deck, which was nice. Parowan Reservoir Company, who owns the water coming down Parowan Canyon, realized their system is aged and worn and has served its purpose, and they need some upgrades. So we all 3 got together and we hired Alpha Engineering out of St. George to come and provide us with some support and an understanding on a design of what could be done. A few meetings with them, and we decided that we needed 2 lines to come out of Parowan Canyon. The Reservoir Company wanted to upgrade their line, and the Parowan Valley Pumpers Association wanted to develop a recharge line. And we went with that. We outlined places we wanted to recharge. There happens to be an Iron County gravel pit just north of the Iron County Fairgrounds. And we are going to utilize that gravel pit to sink our first set of water through a project. So we went after money. We got some ag water optimization funds. We got Parowan Reservoir lined up with some USDA funds. And then we started to assess ourselves much heavier than what was anticipated from water rights. The typical assessments through a distribution committee are very small. We tend to keep those small to help farmers. And we had our association meeting and followed by the distribution committee. And I told the guys in the association meeting, I'm going to make a motion that we put an assessment to this. It's our water. We want to save it. We want to protect it. And so I threw out a very high assessment from our distribution committee. And it was unanimously backed. Division of Water Rights, Nathan Moses, about fell out of his chair. He's like, you guys are ready to do this? And we're ready to do this. We'll assess ourselves. We want your help in it, and we want your timeline with our groundwater management plan to do this. And they agreed and went forward with this. They gave us a generous first cut timeline out. Not as generous as Enterprise got.
Yeah.
But of course, Enterprise is 25 years into theirs now. But it still was enough to us to think we can move forward. So now we've got funding. We've got
So do they collect the assessment for you, the city detail still does?
Yep.
Okay.
We assessed it, and this is what's interesting, is we assessed it at $1 per acre foot. You can imagine how small that is when you think of how much water. I mean, you bought water today in Walmart. I don't know, you were probably paying about $300 or $400, maybe $1,000 per acre foot right there. We assessed $1 per acre foot. So our assessment runs about $53,000 to that. Now, when you go to a farmer who owns 10,000 of those acre feet, it pinches him a little bit. But in reality, you have to think long-term. So we have that assessment. There are some restrictions on how we can use that set of funds, though. We have to go through state purchasing and to use those funds. We thought about doing a volunteer effort at first, where we just sent out a courtesy letter to all water holders. Said, hey, could you donate? Our first assessment was 50 cents. Can we go with 50 cents?
Yeah.
I think we went with 50 cents an acre foot. We got a very good response. But there were just some outliers that didn't participate. And we come to the conclusion that everyone can be part of the solution, regardless of your right of water on date.
So in the meeting, when we did that though, there was a lot of resistance and whatnot. We talked through it. And when we voted at the end, I don't remember anybody opposing that.
There was not, and there hasn't been since. We're going on our 4th year of distribution meetings coming up now. And every year we propose this $1 per acre foot assessment. And it gets approved unanimously every time. So now we have a start of a funding source. And of course, once you have that seed money, that start of a funding source, and they know we're serious, we can go out and get bigger grants. So you're part of your tour today, you're going to drive up Parowan Canyon. You're going to see 2 or 3 excavators digging right along the road there. They're installing our 24-inch recharge pipeline right now. And next week, they're going to start on the 36-inch Parowan Reservoir Company line that's going to come out of the canyon. With the Bryan Head fire and with flood analysis from the first set of evaluations after the fire, it became apparent that Parowan City is under a potential high flood damage zone because of the lack of capacity in the river at roughly the Maverick, south of the Maverick. The channel gets really narrow and really shallow. And if the water comes up and out of that, it starts to head down through the streets. And so Parowan City is anxiously helping us every day to get as much water out of that channel as possible. So we're going to move a diversion upstream. Parowan Reservoir Company's moving their diversion upstream. We're going to put a new diversion point. We almost call it a dam, if you will, right across the creek up there. And part of that water will come down. It'll sluice through a Laney sluice. Some water will go to Parowan Reservoir Company. Alma and Scott have some water in there. They get first right. They're oldest. But as soon as it hits their right is full, now it can go into our association's pipeline and head to the gravel pit for recharge on a meter system. And when high floods come, when monsoonal events come, we shut both gates and we open the floodgate. It's about an 8-foot or a 10-foot hydraulic operated hydrant, and it'll just send all the water down the channel. And then we will start with phase 2, 3, and 4 on our association plan to deal with how we can capture that water down through the valley.
Just because there's so much trash in.
So much trash and so much water.
Can't go there.
We really don't want to send trash water down a pressurized system, and we don't want to send it down our 24-inch line if we can help it. Although we're prepared to handle that, we have 10 or 11 manholes that we can always climb down in, pull out the trash, send some poor soul down a 24-inch line to grab that log that's stuck and drag him back out. But we are successful with 3 or 4 different funding sources with Parowan City's help the association's help, and the reservoir company's help. So a collaborative effort. The distribution company still provides us with possible funding as well. So this is early on, if you will. I think we are maybe 5 years into our organization, and we've got one big project lined out, and we'll see how that goes. Any questions?
One question. Sorry, I'm asking all the questions here.
Well, you're next on the radar
Yes.
in Milford.
Yeah. No, we're gonna send them north. So let's get over there. We don't even have any water over there. I'm sure you guys looked at this, but instead of going into a recharge line, why not go into an irrigation system somewhere? If you turn 5 wells off by that water going in an irrigation system, that's, you just skip a step, right? You didn't have to recharge the aquifer because they turned their pumps off. But I'm sure there's something with water rights, or there's some reason you didn't do that.
So we have the potential to do that. You have to remember, our water is first for recharge only, not for consumptive use.
Okay.
And so if we start seeking a consumptive use, then we've got to go through water rights a little bit more and show them that wells will be turned off as this water comes down. Secondly, a big system like that, we would have had to push a pipeline through Parowan City. You can imagine how many utilities are down every road in a city. And this one, our recharge line happened to go through the fairground parking lot. And there was already a pit dug.
Okay.
So I had no expense in digging a pit. I had very small costs of utility avoidance. The reservoir company's current line goes through town. Now, I think, is that a 15-inch outlet? Do you remember, or 18-inch going through town? It was probably put in 50 years ago, 40 years ago.
The exact time.
So when we start shooting through town to do that, so that has crossed our minds, but where we think we're going to grab that is after I-15. Not necessarily before I-15. Most of all property before I-15 is on the gravity system, so no wells. But once we cross I-15, now we have pumps.
Okay.
So if we can catch that water potentially in the future, Lyle Barton's got a nice pond we could tap into. Other side of I-15, Scott's got a nice pond we can tap into about a mile west of the freeway, north and west of the freeway. We can catch it there, start sending it to the producers right there. Wells go off.
And then what's your expected time to get from the recharge gravel pit to the farms on the west side of the freeway?
I don't have that. We're just recharging. So we know it's not going to the Little Salt Lake. And so now I know it's going in the ground.
You gotta be careful. We're trying to save the one up north and you're trying to drive me. Turn that speaker off.
That's exactly. Yeah, you have to say Little Salt Lake or everyone gets up in flames.
That side of the pipeline there, 22-inch going to the north field, 18-inch going to the west field, and the south field, I'm not sure. There's probably about 12.
Okay.
So that begins in town, 200
Right.
west and Parowan.
There's a hydro plant associated with it.
Yeah.
And so the reservoir company is thinking long-term. I like how their board worked. They upsized to a 36-inch pipe in case they ever want to start to run a power system through that or capture the one that comes down through Penstock now. And this is their time to put in a nice new big pipe through town. And that's what we're doing. We're jamming a 36-inch pipe and a 34-inch spot down through the streets. So, like they say, if you want me to get in the back seat, just grease my hips and throw a Twinkie back there, and I'm back there. Okay, that's what's gonna happen. So, any questions other than that? Thank you.
All right. It's time for the tour now. We're right on time. So nice work, guys. Jay, do you want to give us an overview of where we're going?
So we're gonna jump our vehicles, we'll run up the canyon, go to Yankee Reservoir. I got some photos here, some old repeat photos on, we'll talk about the Brine Hood Fire, the Yankee Reservoir a little bit, then we'll turn around and we'll follow Alma into their ranch in the Co-op Valley and look at some of the proactive work they've done as a watershed and hole for their private ranch there.
Okay.
Alan's my twin brother. He's gonna get called Alan now.
You bet. Oh,
That's okay. He's not a horse thief, right?
He's not like that. If anybody wants to carpool, we'll
I think I'll